Good morning, students. In this session, we will be discussing about the disorders of aromatic amino acids in the form of case histories. I am Dr. Usha Adiga, Professor, Department of Biochemistry. In this, we have a 6 months old male baby brought to the pediatrician for a routine checkup. During the examination, physician noticed that the baby Alex was irritable and had fair skin and blue eyes. The parents reported that the baby's urine had a musty odor. There was no family history of genetic disorders. On clinical examination, the baby exhibited mild hypertonia and was less responsive than expected for his age. On dermatological examination, the pediatrician noted a fair skin and blue eyes. The parents reported that Alex was breastfeeding but had not yet started on solid foods. On diagnostic workup, newborn screening results showed significantly elevated phenylalanine levels in Alex's blood. A confirmatory test was done, such as blood amino acid analysis and genetic testing was recommended. The diagnosis of phenylketonuria was confirmed based on the elevated phenylalanine levels and the absence of enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase. So the diagnosis of the condition is phenylketonuria. As you already know, this is due to the deficiency of the enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase. So the clinical manifestations, as I already told you, the presenting symptoms and examination findings. So the laboratory diagnosis is mainly by the estimation of blood phenylalanine. Normal level is around 1 milligram per deciliter, whereas in PKU the level is more than 20 milligram per deciliter. So this may be demonstrated by chromatography. There is one more test that can be done, that is tandem mass spectroscopy. So this is a most reliable test, and but the thing is it is costly. There is one more test called as Guthrie's test, that is a rapid screening test. In this we can demonstrate the presence of phenylalanine in the blood sample, in the patient's blood sample, by the growth of bacteria called Bacillus subtilis. The treatment option, here early detection is very important. About 5 units of IQ may be lost for each 10-week delay in starting the treatment. The treatment is provided by the diet containing low phenylalanine, 10 to 20 milligram per kg body weight per day. Food based on cassava family of vegetables will have low phenylalanine content. This special diet is to be continued during the first decade of life, after which the child can have a normal diet. Lifelong compliance of special diet is advised, even though it is not mandatory. So in addition to all these tests, DNA probe may be helpful in diagnosing the defect of phenylalanine hydroxylase. There are non-specific tests like a ferric chloride test as well. So the condition is phenylketonuria. Coming to the next case history, in this a 35-year-old female who is an office manager by occupation visited primary care physician and complained of dark discoloration in her urine, especially after it was exposed to air. She also mentioned noticing bluish black pigmentation on the whites of her eyes and ear cartilage. Additionally, she also reported occasional joint pain and stiffness. On clinical examination, bluish black discoloration of the sclera on the whites of the eyes was seen. Bluish black pigmentation on the ear cartilage was seen. Mild joint pain and stiffness was complained, especially on the weight bearing joints. On diagnostic workup, urine analysis revealed the presence of homogentisic acid, and this led to the suspicion of alkaptonuria. So alkaptonuria is a condition where there is deficiency in homogentisic acid oxidase enzyme. So further testing was done, serum homogentisic acid assay and genetic testing also confirmed the diagnosis. The patient Sarah was found to have mutations in HGD gene. This encodes for the enzyme homogentisate 1,2-dioxygenase. So the condition is alkaptonuria, an inborn error of metabolism which is characterized by urine becoming black on standing. Okay, so this is due to homogentisate oxidase deficiency. This recessive condition is characterized by blackening of urine on standing. Then it is polymerized to black colored alkaptone bodies. By third and fourth decade of life, the patient may develop ochronosis, that is deposition of alkaptone bodies in the intervertebral disc, cartilages of nose, pinna, etc. Black pigments are deposited over the connective tissues including joint cavities to produce arthritis. So all these features were exhibited by this patient. The diagnosis actually doesn't require any special test because urine blackening on standing itself is a characteristic of this test. Ferric chloride test will be positive for urine, however it is non-specific. Benedict's test is positive with muddy yellow precipitate. So Benedict's test is also not specific. It is mainly for reducing sugar. However, homogentisic acid being a reducing substance, it is showing positive. So the diagnosis is alkaptonuria. Coming to the next case, in this female baby, 6 months old, Caucasian by ethnicity. Parents of the baby both were healthy and there was no history of consanguineous marriage. So she was brought to the OPD. Around 3 months of age, parents noticed that she was not gaining weight as expected and her growth seemed to be lagging behind. She was often irritable and had a persistently yellowish tint to her skin and eyes. They were concerned and they brought her to the pediatrician. The pediatrician ordered a series of tests including blood and urine analysis. Elevated levels of tyrosine and its metabolites such as succinylacetone were found. And the confirmation of the condition is by liver biopsy. This revealed significant liver damage, confirming the diagnosis of tyrosinemia type 1. Further genetic testing identified two pathogenic mutations in the FAH gene, confirming the genetic basis of the disorder. So this condition is nothing but type 1 tyrosinemia that is characterized by fumarate acetoacetate hydrolase enzyme. So this is again an autosomal recessive condition. So in this, it is a serious disorder with hepatorenal involvement. So there is acute liver failure. Fumarate and melanyl acetoacetate that accumulate are both alkylating agents and they cause DNA damage by alkylation. So symptoms manifest as early as 6 months of age as shown in this patient. Okay, especially the first year of age. It has a cabbage-like odor and hypoglycemia are the characteristic features and mild mental retardation may be seen. So urine findings will be tyrosine, para-hydroxyphenyl pyruvic acid, hydroxyphenyl lactic acid and serum will show high levels of tyrosine. So tyrosine and phenylalanine restricted diet will be advised in such patients. So this is a case of tyrosinemia type 1. Coming to case 4, in this a 2-year female baby, again Caucasian, was brought to the pediatrician with concerns about her developmental milestones and unusual eye findings. Her parents reported that she has been failing to thrive, experiencing poor weight gain and had episodes of vomiting and diarrhea. Additionally, they also noticed her skin and hair were lighter than expected for her age. On clinical examination, ocular findings, the baby Emily presented with photophobia, tearing and redness in her eyes. On examination, there were multiple superficial corneal ulcers. Skin examination showed lighter pigmentation than expected, especially in sun-exposed areas. Neurological examination was carried out. Developmental delays were noted with motor and speech delays corresponding to a 12-month level. On diagnostic workup, laboratory tests revealed elevated levels of tyrosine in blood and urine. Further confirmatory tests including genetic analysis which identified mutations in the TAT gene, confirming the diagnosis of tyrosinemia type 2. Okay, so this is nothing but oculocutaneous tyrosinemia. It is also called as Richner-Hanhart syndrome. This is due to the deficiency of the enzyme tyrosine aminotransferase or TAT. Mental retardation, ketosis of keratosis of palmar surface, painful corneal lesions and photophobia are the features. So excretion of tyrosine and tyramine in the urine is the characteristic. So in this case also we advise a diet low in protein. Next, a 45-year-old male who is a sales manager by occupation, he presented to the emergency department with a history of recurrent flushing, diarrhea and abdominal pain over the past few months. He reported experiencing intermittent wheezing and difficulty breathing during these episodes. Initially, these symptoms were dismissed as unrelated and attributed to stress. However, on clinical examination, he experienced a spontaneous episode of flushing characterized by warm, red discoloration of his face and neck. He reported having watery loose stools multiple times a day, sometimes associated with abdominal cramping. When auscultation, wheezing, he complained of wheezing. However, on auscultation also mild wheezing was noted in the lower lung fields. On diagnostic workup, laboratory tests showed elevated level of urinary 5-hydroxyindole acetic acid, that is 5-HIAA, a metabolite of serotonin. Further imaging studies included a CT scan and octreotide scan, identified a primary tumor in the small intestine with liver metastasis. So the confirmation was by well-differentiated neuroendocrine tumor called as carcinoid tumors. So carcinoid tumors are nothing but serotonin-produced argentafin cells in the GIT, which are necessary for GIT motility. These cells will grow into locally malignant argentafinoma, and these are called as carcinoid syndromes. So these tumors develop in small intestine or in the appendix. So the patients complain of flushing, sweating, diarrhea, etc. as complained by the patient. Normally about 1% of tryptophan molecules are channelized for serotonin synthesis, but in carcinoid syndrome up to 60% is diverted to serotonin. Therefore, niacin deficiency, that is pellagra-like symptoms, may be seen in carcinoid syndrome. The diagnostic of this condition is 5-HIAA in urine. After stopping all medications for 72 hours, we need to collect random fresh urine sample and we need to exclude dietary sources of 5-hydroxyindole acetic acid, that is avocado, banana, red plum, pineapple, tomato, etc. Okay, and drugs like indomethacin. So we need to exclude all these, and normal value of this 5-hydroxyindole acetic acid is around 2 to 7 milligram per day. So this is increased in carcinoid tumors in the gut or bronchus, tropical sprue, Whipple disease and oat cell carcinoma of the bronchus. However, if urine HIA exceeds 25 milligram per day, the diagnosis of carcinoid syndrome has to be made. If metastasis is present, then still higher values more than 350 milligrams per day will be seen. 5-hydroxyindole acetic acid excretion may be intermittent, so repeated testing is required. Okay, so this is the characteristic feature of carcinoid syndrome. Lastly, we have a case of a 10-year-old female 4th grade student. She was brought to the pediatrician by her parents due to concern about her skin and recent behavioral changes. Her parents noticed that she had developed a rash on her face, especially around her nose and mouth. Additionally, her school teacher reported a decline in her academic performance and noted increased irritability and mood swings. On clinical examination, she presented with a photosensitive rash on her face resembling a butterfly rash across the nose and cheeks. Neurological examination exhibited mild ataxia and tremors. On psychiatric assessment, she had signs of anxiety and mood swings also during the consultation. On diagnostic workup, the laboratory tests revealed low levels of tryptophan in her blood and urine. A urine test also showed increased levels of neutral amino acids based on these findings. So diagnosis is turned to be Hartnupp's disease. So genetic testing is confirmed by mutation in SLC6A19G confirming the diagnosis. So Hartnupp's disease is a inherited autosomal recessive disease caused by defective transport of neutral amino acids across the renal tubular epithelium and intestinal mucosal epithelium. Net effect is excretion of these amino acids in the urine. Since intestinal absorption is defective, there is no accumulation of amino acids in the blood. Essential amino acids like tryptophan, isoleucine, phenylalanine, threonine and valine are also not absorbed. But young children with Hartnupp's disease are clinically normal. As kidney tubules are defective, amino acids are excreted in urine. Pellagra-like symptoms are due to deficiency of niacin derived from tryptophan. So the common manifestations as shown in this patient are dermatitis and ataxia. The diagnosis is based on amino aciduria. Patients improve when put on high protein diet. So for this patient we advise high protein diet with supplementation of niacin and minimum exposure to sunlight. Administration of oral niacin up to 300 mg per day may be helpful. Patients with partial transport defect often remain asymptomatic. The neuropsychiatric manifestations of Hartnupp's disease are said to be responsible for sadistic and bizarre behavior like neurocaligula. So this is a condition called as Hartnupp's disease in which the high protein diet and supplementation of niacin is recommended. So thank you students. This is about the case discussion on inborn errors of metabolism.